Well, let's get into the Footy Interchange Exchange. This is the People's Podcast, Schoey, where everyone can get involved and ask their questions. Of course, we do make sure that if you ask a question, if you're a patron and you ask on Patreon, that we will guarantee that we address your questions. We missed last week. I can't remember where you were last week. You were off on a junket somewhere.
Sydney.
So we didn't do the exchange last week, so we've got a couple of extra questions to get to, a bit of backfill to do, but you've got them on Patreon there.
Absolutely. Backchatpodcast.com.au. You can sign up as a patron over there. We appreciate everyone's support, and all of you that were at the Jack Buckley medal last night or Monday night was unbelievable. So thank you very much for your support. You help us continue to make shows like this. CJ over on Patreon says, got a question for the Footy Exchange. What's stopping West Coast not signing Starcevic as a free agent and possibly diluting the compo for Allen, where his contract runs until this season, and could pick him up in the pre-season draft? I don't know the answer to that question. I feel like not a lot, given they'll have pick one in the pre-season draft.
Yep. It's very rare that happens.
Yeah. I don't look. I don't claim to be an expert on much. I'm an expert on giving opinions. Whether they're right or wrong is another thing. But I really think one thing that needs to be fixed in the AFL, and it should be right the high priority. And I've seen a bit of stuff with the father-son earlier this week with having to only use 2 picks instead of stacking it with 10 picks at the back end of the draft to get a father-son over the line. I think they need to really simplify what this looks like because it's too hard to follow. I've said this before. I get really confused. I'd be surprised if other people aren't confused with the system we've got now, whether it be acquiring people through free agency, through trade, compensation picks, acquiring picks to then go and get father-sons, acquiring picks to go and match academy bids. It's far too complicated. And if they want to do some back-end stuff that gets done behind closed doors, that it's a administration side of things, that's fine. But for punters and for media types like me, I just think it's far too complicated. I'd really like to see it simplified.
Yeah, just make it a bit easier for everyone to follow. For me, with the father-son stuff, which I said before, as long as it's a fair price, that's fine. Like, keep the father-son rule and keep it going. But again, I don't like them stacking those picks that are later in the draft to try and get someone that's in the top 10. So if they do get something like, you have to have a couple of picks around where that player is going to be taken, that works a bit better for me. The free agency stuff, yeah. So if you pick up a free agent, like West Coast, for example, if they pick up Brandon Starcevic, that could dilute what they get for Oscar Allen in terms of that draft pick.
So I guess
it'd be better for West Coast.
Good question.
Yeah, so it'd be better for West Coast to do a trade for Brandon Starcevic rather than take him as a free agent, or
and
you could try and walk him through to the preseason draft, but clubs don't tend to do that. So is there an agreement being made? Okay, if you pay Oscar Allen this, and then we get this tier of compensation, we'll trade you this pick for Brandon Starcevic, blah, blah, blah. Does that sort of stuff go on?
There's a bit of it, I reckon. And if we talk about really ruthless behaviour, if that is an option to not give up any picks, to get your pick 2 from Oscar Allen and to go get him the preseason draft, why would you not? What, because you want to respect the other teams? With all due respect, I think that if that all that's going to happen is teams not liking you,
they could have done that last year with Liam Baker.
Correct. So why didn't they? If there's an answer that we don't know, there it is. Neville on Patreon says, East Perth robbed 50 metres was 100% there. How did the review not give that? Look,
you had a good chat with Skeet on the Footy Cast.
Yeah, I've had a fair bit of stuff.
Well.
I had a good chat to D. Margetts, post that chat with Skeeter. At least the WAFL handbook for umpires, if not the AFL handbook for umpires, which is a handbook for umpires, not a public document. The AFL laws of the game don't cover this situation. Yep. That is a fact. So I've been through that in numerous different fashions. There's nothing here that covers that. But there's also nothing that covers taking weapons onto the field or throwing grass in an opponent's face when they're going for goal, or random things. There's lots of things that happen in games that aren't explicitly saying when this happens, do this. There's a bit of interpretation, but also the umpire's handbook helps them make decisions around different things. So in the umpire's handbook, I do believe it says that after the siren, not handing the footy back will not result in a 50-metre penalty. My argument to that would be, and now this is what happens every year when the umpires come and chat to the players, you pick holes in it. I said to D. Margetts, and he laughed, and he said, I don't know how I'd fix it. I said, get the footy and just don't give it back to the player. So you're not having a shot at goal. I'm not giving it. No.
Just put it in your bag, chuck it in the car and drive away.
Oh, well, if you can't pay a 50-metre penalty, I'm serious. So, no, but that's devil's advocate.
I know what you're trying to say.
You know, but that's how the rules work. So
yeah,
it really should be in the rules.
Yeah.
It's not a 50-metre penalty, or it is.
Yeah, it should be in the rules.
By looking at the game and how that went down, I believe that should be a 50-metre penalty still. Now, I don't think it should have been given. I don't think South Fremantle shouldn't have won the grand final. Deserved winners. When you win a grand final, whoever's in front, they're the best team. They're the best team wins. Like, none of that chat.
Yep.
Robbed. Nah. But free kick was given. 3 seconds left. Ball's kicked away. That to me, that's 50-metre penalty. And I know it's harsh. If it's in the second quarter and it's not to win the game, I think that should be a 50.
Yeah, if the siren's gone, it changes it a bit. If you obviously kicked it away before the siren goes, it's a definite 50-metre penalty, but it was after. I'm with you, and I am a Royal supporter, so I'll put that as an asterisk. But the thing for me in that situation is if they can take that kick quickly, South Fremantle don't have all their players back necessarily, so there's less chance of it being touched. I know he's a long way from goal, but if that happens and you're 60 metres away...
He got onto it.
He did.
If he took it straight away and there's no one in the goal square.
It could roll end on end and go through for a goal. So you have actually wasted time and advantaged your team by kicking the ball away.
Yeah.
And obviously it was so far in the middle of the ground, he thought, well, he's not going to score from here. We've won the game. That's it. But yeah, they should probably clarify that rule a little bit more. The other part to it being people running onto the ground before the contest was over.
I'm okay with that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that impacts the game whatsoever.
Because I think there was an ammo game, wasn't there, where they got a 50-metre penalty
yeah,
after that?
I don't agree with that. And I don't think you'd want to, as a captain or as a team, win
to call that out.
because people are running on to celebrate a game. They think so.
Yeah.
It's not. They're not running into delay. They're not. You know, the song was playing, and you know they don't know any better. Mark Reddings was out there. He refused to say it on the Shadow Footy Cast, but I looked at the vision. He was out there. All the media was out there.
Yeah,
so I think you would feel like you robbed a team of rightful victory if something like that caused it. And even if it was a head count was done, which was called for,
yeah,
I've confirmed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
by one of the players out there,
by the captain of East Perth. No, I'm special. No, he said it on the podcast. Yeah, no, he called for it because he was trying to win a grand final.
Yeah.
But even if it was done,
what did the umpires say to him then?
It's like a fine. They're not impacting the game.
Right.
You got to actually be impacting the game, getting touches of the footy, kicking goals, standing on your man. Right. You know, just for having a player 1 metre on the boundary, they wouldn't be even a free kick.
Really?
Yeah, it's not as old school as it used to be.
Right.
It's not wiping the score. None of that.
No.
Jason, a great contributor over at Patreon. If Brisbane were to win the grand final, what are the 3 or 4 things they would need to get right on game day? All right, Jason. Given I've picked Brisbane, you want me to answer this one?
Just go for it.
Or did I pick
I'll
Geelong?
throw a couple in.
I picked Brisbane. So I picked Brisbane.
You picked Geelong.
I picked Geelong. You picked Brisbane. Did you pick Brisbane or Geelong?
I said, my head says Geelong.
I picked Geelong.
My gut says
This
Brisbane.
is why I don't like tipping, mate. I just, you know. Look, okay.
Well, 2 days ago.
If Brisbane, yeah, good point. It's about 10 minutes ago.
Little insight behind the curtain here.
If Brisbane,
can I give you one?
Hey?
Can I give you one?
Yes.
And we spoke about it with Tom Rockliff. I think Logan Morris and Ty Gallop need to kick at least 5 between them for Brisbane to win.
All right.
So 5 between them. They need their young talls to have a good game. And Gallop played really well in the prelim, but obviously the grand final is a bigger step up. But I think they need some goals out of their key forwards.
I've said this all year about Geelong. I think that they've got great role players and they're great consistent, but they've got 3 and probably 4 really good players that I just don't think you can be beaten with. So the other 3 or 4, you got to stop Jeremy Cameron. It's usually you got to stop Tom Stewart.
Yep.
Right. So he's out of it now. So stop Jeremy Cameron, stop Max Holmes, stop Bailey Smith. If they get beaten by the rest of them, which plenty of sides have been done this year, I think you're more comfortable than having Bailey Smith have 40 touches, Max Holmes have 25, kick 2 and have 10 score assists like he had in the prelim. And Jeremy Cameron kicking 5 goals. If other people kick goals, you know, and maybe that means Dangerfield has another big day, but I'd be trying to stop their best players. It's what Geelong does so well against sides. They look at their strengths and they don't get beaten by them. So I'd be doing that in the grand final. Whether Brisbane have that in their kit bag, the ability to shut down those players, I don't know. I don't think Harris Andrews is a good matchup for Jeremy Cameron. Tom Rockliff said, follow him and drop off him high. I don't know if you want Jeremy Cameron having 5 touches across halfback and running through the middle of the ground untouched. The way to play on Jeremy Cameron, and no expert, however, I've done it before. You go with him all the way, and you be physical the whole day. So I think if Leicester can sort his shit out, he's been really good at him doing that. Darcy Gardner can play that sort of role. You got to be really physical. You cannot just back yourself in to run around with him, because you can't do that. So I'd be playing Leicester first, backing in your senior player. Gardner as break glass if he has 2 or 3 shots early, and then letting Harris Andrews play on a tall like Shannon Neal and drop off. He absolutely blanketed him even the first time around, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be a great one. That's what I'll be doing for Brisbane to win.
And they probably need Charlie Cameron to have his best game of the season almost.
He was good last week.
Yeah, but get him in that form. He hasn't had his greatest year, but if he can have a big impact on grand final day, that'll go a fair way.
I don't know what they need to change to what they did in the qualifying. I was going to ask Rocky that. I don't have my coach's hat on and say, well, they need to do this to win. They're going to have to change, though, because they got absolutely pantsed in that qualifying.
That was part of a question that Maddie's asked as well, asking what they needed to do differently.
So I think when they look their best, so I don't know if this works against Geelong, is when they possess the footy more. When they possess the footy, but then they take that aggressive kick. Now, Dane Zorko did that early against Collingwood, turned it over 3 or 4 times, still went for them and became really important late in the game to do that. They've basically got to do that. And you've got to get field position on Geelong. You can't be playing turnover footy, Harris Andrews marking in the goal square, trying to transition the whole way on them. I think you've got to try and get field position and really set up well behind the footy and get Harris Andrews and co intercepting around halfway. In plays. That's how you beat Geelong. Whether they can do it, I don't know.
Second part to Maddie's question is, what are West Coast going to do this off-season to get better? 12 total Brownlow votes.
They have to get better players. So they're going to have to add to their list, whether that be by free agency, trade. Are they the same thing? Probably. And draft. I think they've added some coaches already, which is good. They have to get better there. And realistically, I think across the board, and this includes admin, execs, coaches, and players, individually, you have to drive your own success. And that means individually bringing a work rate and a drive to get better that then comes together as a group, and you can drive each other. But you really can't have any stragglers going, well, this is what I think it takes to make it, and if it's good enough, great, and if it's not, fine. Everyone has to be on board. You have to have complete buy-in for the entire group, and that's the challenge for Andrew McWalter, and we'll see if he's a good enough coach, because from all reports he is, and that's his biggest challenge, to get the group playing and living and training as a really tight-knit unit.
We asked a question on the Footy Interchange last week about which team people did or didn't want to win the premiership. Most of the feedback came back saying definitely not Collingwood or Hawthorn, and most people saying they probably would be happy if Brisbane won. Keely was one that was definitely against Brisbane, does not like them whatsoever. Went on a bit of a rant about that, Keely, so thank you very much for your contribution there too. As a West Coast fan that just hates Brisbane.
I love it.
AJ coming through says, hi Paps and Schoey, this one's to consider. Hi, Paps and Schoey, love your work. I wonder what you guys think about challenging the status quo on derby crowds. I reckon AFL fans of our local teams are way too soft with limited ability to banter with passion and humour, and it has a lot to do with the flawed tradition of fully home game derbies. Why can't it be a home game for the corporates and boxers, but have the members be half-half, Eagles and Dockers, and switch for the other derby in the year, maybe alternate team member bays in the outer? That should spice up the rivalry. I'm sure there could be a revenue share worked out, as they both pay royalties to the Footy Commission anyway. I'm an Eagles and Swan Districts member and love all my footy, but the banter at a WAFL crowd is just so much better than the non-existent AFL. I'm also older than Skeeter, so I remember all too well the halcyon days of huge crowds. Also, as a Nuffy fan, I can tell you that when your team is shit, it's exactly when you ridicule your opposition even more, as you have nothing else to cheer for. What did you think? That was for AJ. Really considered post. What do you think about splitting the crowds, like at showdowns and derbies and those local rivalries?
First I've heard it. First reaction is I like it. There'd be some logistical stuff you need to work through. West Coast have they got a bit bigger crowd? So is it a 64? I don't know exactly, but if you could work a system in which it was a split crowd, like every second bay was went Freo West Coast, all close enough.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I mean, that's what was good about the WAFL. Like the WAFL was very clearly like 50-50. You could see red, you could see blue. It was cool. And there was cheering on one and there was booing on other. And yeah, I think it's a great suggestion. Will it get bumped to the top of the pile? Probably not. But I like it. I don't know how you get this sort of stuff up. You just talk about it on here and
it's
PR.
Almost impossible to get the clubs to agree on anything, I would think.
As
a starting point. But the atmosphere would be amazing.
If you could say, I would give you a bit more money.
Yeah, well, tick. Yeah, I think ticketing logistically, how much of a nightmare is that? I guess you just get your seat, right? And you either get it for one game or the other.
I'm very much leaning into going to the AFL versus any other form of football, WAFL included. Ammos is so much better with kids without the AFL. So hard to go to an AFL game. So expensive. Kids can't sit there long enough. You go to a local footy game or a WAFL game and so much better. My back end of this year, that's what I've decided. So for next year, I was getting worried that I wasn't taking the kids to the footy enough, and that's the AFL. But I'm going to go to way more local footy, way more WAFL footy next year. That's what I'm going to do.
So my kids came to the AFLW on the weekend. It was
Yep.
a nice day down in Fremantle. I was calling, so my wife brought the boys down, and they had a great time. Literally just enjoying everything they could do around the ground. You could wander around a bit. It wasn't a crush of people. So there's more space. They could do the handball comp. Archie won about 100 footy cards, I reckon, down there. So he was in heaven, and they're playing a giant game of Guess Who and got, the airbrush tattoos, like literally covered their whole body in it. Absolutely loved it. It was really innocent, like interesting interaction with my youngest, Max, who's only 6, on the way home. And he just asked me, he's like, oh, why wasn't there more people there today? I said, mate, it's pretty new competition, and I was trying to explain it to him. It was pretty difficult. He's like, is it more expensive than the men's game? Is that why there's not more people there? I'm like, no, it's not quite that. It's just because there's, the comps come in later and people have watched men's footy for longer rather than women's footy. But it was interesting seeing like just that innocent look at it from that point of view. It's like, okay, why isn't there more people there?
It's just like,
it's cheaper.
I'll tell you what.
It's easier.
I've solved it. You get out, me get out. We get Sid here, Max there, our 2 kids. Mate, they'd solve everything.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, why is why is that player going to this team and they're having to pay this? Like, why don't we just do this? They'd figure it out.
Yeah. So,
we're too clouded mentally.
It was really interesting just seeing the innocent sort of look at it. And there's lots of reasons why, and people just haven't gravitated to it yet. But I think it's starting to go that way. And another message would come through from Lua, who says, the standard AFLW is so far ahead of where it was even 2 years ago, based upon my viewing, which has been admittedly quite limited. Cleaner handling of the ball, high disposal efficiency, more effective marking, and longer, more accurate kicking for goal, says Lua.
Which is correct. We've called most games this year.
Yeah.
And that's 1,000% correct.
Yeah. The Derby a couple of weeks ago over here, I think we had a really good crowd, except the weather was horrendous.
Yeah, weather was good.
And then last week, it was a 1 o'clock start on a Saturday. Crowd wasn't huge. Would have been great to see a few more people there. But the experience, if people give it a go, I think they will gravitate to it.
I agree.
A little bit more. That's all we've got time for the questions today, Schoey. Thank you very much.
Perfect, mate. Good luck for the grand final.
Thank you.
Go the Cats, go the Lions. And I don't think I've got anything to finish us off with, mate.
Let's hope there's a kick in it with 20 seconds left to play. I'll be very happy, man. Enjoy your grand final day, however you might be celebrating it. We'll be back next week with the Footy Interchange and the Footy Interchange Exchange.